Hello guys, ArKdia here, and in today's video I'm going to talk about battle systems. In particular, I'm going to list 5 of my favorite battle systems when it comes to JRPGs. Now, doing this list wasn't easy and there are plenty of awesome battle systems to pick from. Not only that, but there are some JRPGs that I haven't played as well, so I will most likely miss a bunch of them. This video is also based on my opinion, and you might disagree with my list, but that is totally fine. We all have our own personal taste at the end of the day, and if you have your own list, then please feel free to leave it in the comment section. Alright, at number 5 we have the battle system in Lightning Returns. Now, the Final Fantasy XIII trilogy might not have been a bright spot for the Final Fantasy franchise, but if there's one thing I love about this trilogy, then it has to be the battle system in Lightning Returns. At first glance it kinda looks like any other action RPG, but if you've played it, then you know that it's much deeper than that. Not only do you have to juggle between 3 different jobs in every battle, in this case they're called Garbs, but you also have to manage between 3 different ATBs as well, and each Garb has its own sets of abilities, which you can customize. The battles are also done in real time, so you have to consider blocking, dodging and parrying while managing your abilities. And management is the key word here for this battle system, and if you think you can spam random abilities blindly in this game, then you are sorely mistaken. But what makes this battle system even more special is how they treated the stagger system. For those who don't know, by striking at the enemy's weakness you can break down their defenses and stagger them. Attacking a staggered enemy will usually deliver far more damage than usual, and managing stagger is one of the most essential keys to win battles. That has been a staple thing amongst the 2 previous Final Fantasy XIII games, but for this game they took it one step further. They added more unique stagger conditions. Conditions like attack while the enemy is healing, get a perfect block from a certain attack, and many other unique conditions. So not only do you have to attack with the right abilities, but you also have to read and study enemy movements and patterns in order to be successful. And that is something I rarely see in a JRPG. Usually you just cycle through your abilities in order to find that one spell that they're weak against, and you can just spam that ability. And I'm not saying that Lightning Returns doesn't have those moments, because there are some weak enemies with simple stagger conditions. But there are also a lot of tough monsters with multiple layers of defense, requiring multiple staggers to break said defense, and in order to be successful you have to memorize and study your opponent's patterns, which I find really fascinating. It can be complicated at the beginning, and the game can be quite challenging, but once you understand it, it becomes very rewarding. At number 4 we have the battle system in Star Ocean: The Last Hope. Now here's the thing, I'm a sucker when it comes to action RPGs, and the Star Ocean series are known for its action-packed combat system, and I do think they all have really good battle systems. But if I have to pick one, then I will have to pick the one that I had most fun with, and that is the battle system in The Last Hope. But that is not to say that The Last Hope is a great game. I do think that the story and the characters are kinda mediocre at best, but I really enjoy the battle system. It is fast and flashy, there are usually a lot of stuff happening during battles, and it can be quite chaotic at times. I might be in the minority, but I like it when there's a lot of stuff going on the screen. But my favorite part about this battle system has to be the blindside attacks. For those that don't know, a blindside attack is a short-range counter-attack which is done through timing an enemy's attack. A successful blindside attack yields a free critical hit and a very awesome attack animation, but you will be punished if you don't time it correctly. So not only is it very action-packed with special arts and casting symbols, but you also have to read and assess the enemies in order to perform a blindside attack. There's also another feature in The Last Hope called the Battle Bonus Board that rewards the party depending on the conditions that have been met during battles. There are 4 types of bonuses, and the board has 14 slots that you can distribute. It is a successor to the bonus battle gauge in Till End of Time, and it is a feature that I really like. Especially if you want to grind XP, because all you have to do is just stack bonus XP into the bonus board. Of course you need to meet the conditions in order to receive bonus XP, but you can also lose the bonuses you've accumulated by getting interrupted by the enemies, so you have to be on your toes to get those bonuses. But as I said earlier, it is a fun and flashy combat system that legit made the game tolerable for me. At number 3 we have the press turn system in Shin Megami Tensei IV. Now for those that don't know, the press turn system is a turn-based battle system found in many SMT games where the main focus is to defeat the enemies by exploiting their weakness while protecting your own. By exploiting the opponent's weaknesses you will gain another turn, but that goes for the opponent as well. In other words, the opponent will get another turn if they attack your weakness. So having knowledge of your opponent's strength and weaknesses is a key factor for winning battles in a press turn system. Now, many SMT games they do have some sort of a press turn system with slight differences, but I decided to pick the combat system in Shin Megami Tensei IV. What I like about this battle system is that they have introduced a new mechanic or status ailment called Smirk. If you for instance land a crit or nullify their attack, then you will get a chance of getting Smirk. And what it does is that it will boost your physical attacks and other attributes, which can be very handy at times. And this of course applies for the opponents as well. What is interesting about SMT4 and many other SMT games is that you constantly have to update your party with new demons, and they all have their own sets of abilities, strength and weaknesses, so you always have to be on your toes, especially against bosses because they can be very brutal at times. Even the lower leveled enemies can sometimes wipe your party if you go in unprepared. Either way, the press turn system adds a fun and challenging element to the traditional turn-based battle system. It can be very brutal at times, but it is also very rewarding and fun once you get the hang of it. At number 2 we have the battle system in Grandia 3. Now before I continue further, I want to say that I've not played Grandia 2. I've heard a lot of good things about Grandia 2 and it seems like it has a similar battle system as Grandia 3. But what I like about the combat system in Grandia 3 is how unique and dynamic it is, especially when it comes to time management during battles. For those not familiar, Grandia 3 has some sort of a time dial whenever you enter combat. And on the time dial you'll find icons representing all the characters and enemies on the field. These icons will move alongside the time dial, which determines the acting order. I believe every Grandia game has a similar feature, but what's interesting about the combat system is how you can affect turn orders by pushing back the position of the enemies on the time dial through critical attacks. And if you time your critical attacks correctly, then you will cancel their attacks entirely. This is especially good when the enemy is about to unleash a powerful attack. Not only that, but you can also launch certain opponents in the air if you cancel their attacks, and other party members can follow up with combo attacks and special aerial attacks. I don't think I've never seen anything like the battle system in Grandia. It has a very unique battle system and it's really fun to play. You might look at the footage and think it is an action RPG, but I would say it's more like a highly dynamic turn-based battle system. Now Grandia 3 is not a perfect game. I would say that the story and the characters never caught my interest, and what kept me going was the battle system. It is also one of those battle systems where you always have to pay attention during battles, and it can also be challenging to get the timing right. But once you get it right, it becomes very rewarding, especially when you perform one of those awesome aerial combos. Before we get to my last pick, I want to give some shoutouts to other amazing battle systems, so here are some honorable mentions. At number 1 we have the battle system in Radiant Historia. Not only is Radiant Historia one of my favorite Nintendo DS game, but it also has one of my favorite turn-based battle systems. For those that don't know, Radiant Historia has a grid-based battle system where the opponents are placed on a 3x3 grid. The majority of the enemy unit takes up one square, and they can use their turn to either attack or move around on the grid. Your job is of course to defeat the enemies, but what makes it special is that you can manipulate the opponent's grid position in order to defeat them effectively. By using certain abilities you can knock enemies into different squares of the grid, but you can also group your opponents into one square, which means that they all share damage if you attack one of the units in that group. And that is something you are encouraged to do, especially if you want bonus XP and bonus money. But it is pretty much straightforward once you get to play it, and that is what I like about the combat system. It is easy to get into, but it will still give you a quite unique challenge. I love planning my moves and changing my attacks with my party members to effectively defeat my opponents. Not only that, but it's always interesting whenever you add unique elements that add depth to a turn-based system. I don't think I ever grew tired of the combat system, to be honest, and I don't think I've seen any battle systems like Radiant Historia. Either way, Radiant Historia is a fantastic game, both the gameplay and the story are amazing, and it is a game that I highly recommend. And there we go, 5 of my favorite battle systems in JRPGs. As I said earlier, there are many other amazing battle systems out there and I've probably missed a bunch of them. If you have your own list, then please feel free to share it in the comment section. Leave a like if you enjoyed this video and subscribe if you're interested in gaming or anime. I usually do commentary videos on RPGs and anime related stuff, but I sometimes dabble into other genres as well. More videos are coming, so again, thank you for watching this video and I'll hopefully see you guys next time.